Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here to talk about Kurt Sanderling's late Mahler recordings. They consist of Das Lied von der Erde, the ninth, and the completed 10th in Deryck Cooke's performing version. Now, many of you have mentioned this set, and I've talked about some of these performances previously as well, in the context of Sanderling editions and boxes and some of the other repertoire discussions of these particular works. Kurt Sanderling was not known for his Mahler in the West, particularly because he wasn't known generally in the West, particularly, and because these were recorded in East Germany with the Berlin Symphony Orchestra, which is the orchestra he directed for many years. Sanderling found himself on the communist side of the Iron Curtain after the Second World War and spent a good bit of his career in Russia, where he was one of the music directors of the Leningrad Philharmonic, along with Mravinsky. He was very, very highly respected for his performances of German music. And of course, we've talked about things like his fabulous Brahms cycle with the Staatskapelle Dresden and his Shostakovich recordings, which are just marvelous. He had he was what you might call the German Kapellmeister type guy, who was really, really good at dealing with expressions of despair, misery, darkness, like Michael Gielen, like a lot of these German guys. That's what they do. We've talked about that for some reason a lot recently. But when we were discussing his Shostakovich performances, especially that amazing performance of the Fifth, some of you said, oh, his Mahler is also terrific. And I have this thing kicking around, which is the 100th anniversary issue of his 3 late Mahler recordings by Berlin Classics. And it's really worth having. You may find some of this stuff also, I don't know, in the Sanderling box. I always keep my Sanderling box handy, don't you? I mean, really, you've got to always have it within arm's length of wherever you happen to be. So here's this one. And what have we got? Yeah, it is. Oh, look at this. They break the ninth up into 2 discs. It's only on one here in this other box. But yes, those 3 recordings are also in this box. So just to be clear, because I know we've talked about them before, but I do want to give them some special love and attention because they deserve it. They really deserve it. They are 3 remarkable performances, and they're not completely nihilistic and glum. I mean, Das Lied von der Erde is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's sung by Peter Schreier, who was in wonderful voice at the time. When were these recorded? Does it say 1960 something or 80 something? Wait a minute. No, it's got to be 60 something. Let me get my thing out here. There we go. 1985, yes, was Das Lied von der Erde. 1981 were the 9th and 10th symphonies. So it's Peter Schreier, who was an excellent voice at that time, and Birgit Findele is the alto, who's also a lovely singer. And the performances are really beautiful and flowing and natural and detailed, really, really well done. The 9th is an exceptional performance with a very powerful first movement. Sanderling was not the most eruptive of conductors. The inner movements have that right bite and irony and a little bit on maybe the deliberate side in places, but not much. Not much. He's not stodgy. He's definitely not stodgy. And he became somewhat stodgy later in life. In particular, he conducted a Beethoven cycle in London that was just one of the most awful things you've ever heard in your life in terms of stodginess. But here everything goes wonderfully. And the finale is a normal finale, final adagio. It's 23 minutes long. It's not stretched out to interminable lengths. Because one of the things that he really captures in these Mahler performances, and that's really extraordinary, is the flow of the music. He always keeps it moving, which is really a good idea. And it's a particularly good idea in the Cooke version of the 10th, of which this is one of the handful of astoundingly great recordings. It's really, really fine. Marvelous. He doesn't take Cooke 100% literally, especially as regards percussion parts. He adds a tam-tam crash to the great outburst in the middle of the adagio in the first movement. Oh, that was fun. And lots of little triangle doodads and details. He tries to make it sound more Mahlerish, let's put it that way. And he succeeds. He really does. The little touches of color and things that he adds are all appropriate, and they work really, really well. And it's just a spectacular performance of a very problematic piece. I know some of you just say you love the 10th to death, and it's wonderful. The finale is the greatest thing Mahler ever wrote, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, go ahead. Believe that if you want. It's fine. What matters is whether you like it or not. And if you like it that much, that's great that you like it that much. I think there's no question that Mahler would have fixed a few things had he lived, and that Cooke, of course, it never made any pretense of saying that it was a completion as Mahler would have completed it. It's a fleshed out sketch. And there are places where it still sounds sketchy. And what Sanderling has done is to de-sketchify the thing as much as possible and make it sound like a Mahler symphony that, is as finished as it could possibly be. It's a very, very fine performance. The playing is top notch. The sonics are very good. It's a real tribute to the man and to his dedication to the music and to the Mahler discography. So I just hoped that giving this a little bit of attention will attract some of you Mahlerites who may not know this, because, we're always looking for great Mahler recordings, and great Mahler recordings that are idiomatic and interesting and that have character and thought and personality and all the things that you want in a really fine performance, and that seem to be in short supply in Mahler performance these days, don't you think? Well, this is a little treasure trove, a little gem in the Mahlerian discography. And if you don't know it, see if you can get your hands on it. You'll be very glad that you did. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.